So we have the required configuration now. We have enterprise structure, workforce structure. Let us move on to the hiring a person. So to hire a person, when you log in as an HR, okay, you can perform different transactions. So far, you have done this setup using a login called application implementation consultant. So when you do this setup, what you wanted to do is you may see or test this setup, right? During the implementation project, you may see that once you do this proper setup, you may also check if that is working. How do you ensure that you have configured all correctly? By hiring a person, by doing some transactions on that person. If you successfully hire a person by using the configuration that you have done, the data that you have set up, so that you ensure that if it is working fine, so then your implementation is successful. Okay, so that's how you need to do. First step, configuration, that's complete. Second step, testing. How do you test this? Manual verification. You need to go to the each transaction page, manually verify the data entries that you keyed in based on the requirement document, compare it with the requirement document, hand to hand. Yes, those are correct. But then how do you ensure that this is not giving you error while using it with a person? Right. So the end of the day, your configuration that you're doing is for end users use. Somebody want to use this during a hire process. Somebody want to use this during a change assignment. Somebody want to use this when they promote somebody from one location to another, one department to another, one grade to another, one job to another. So these are all the user transactions. So to performing, those transactions should be performed without any errors. That is why you are required to test these transactions or configurational data that you have done, setup data that you have set up through certain transactional methods. One such is just go ahead and hire a person, use all the new configuration that you have done so far in hiring a person. So if you successfully end up hiring a person, which means that you have a right setup. If you see that during a hiring a person, you see LE you created is not coming up, fine. You are not seeing a legal entity, right? Then you cannot hire a person in that legal entity. You created it, but it's not coming up. You create a department, but it's not showing up. Something like that. Those issues may pop up. So we may also need to fix that. Otherwise, the only method that you can test the transactions is with the real transactional methods, one of which is hiring a person. Okay. So now as a implementation consultant, as a project team, that you need to test it. You need to test the configuration. Testing team will also be there. SIT, system integration team, which will be doing another round of testing. So then it will be moved to user acceptance testing, where users will perform one round of testing on your data that you configured. So those are all the different testing phases that you have. But as you have configured this, you will ensure that it is working fine for you by hiring a person. How do you hire a person? You go to the My Client groups, click on new person, and then select hire an employee. Yeah, select hire an employee. So this will be a page. There will be a page once you click on this. So this will be one page where or multiple pages within where you need to key in certain data to hire a person. Okay, and all the other relevant fields that you will be using are certain are the common fields or text fields. Certain fields are the fields that you configured. Okay, let us start hiring a person. So let us say we hire a person as of April 1st. There will be a hire date. Let us say somebody we need to hire uh, as of today. Let us say as of today, we need to hire somebody. We need to provide some action. There will be, these are the setup data again. You can configure actions also in the system. Default action is hire. You can select reason. We are hiring somebody to fill a vacant position in the company. And now legal employer. See this legal employer. It can also be a legal entity, but mostly we see as a legal employer. So what legal employer we configured? We configured this as a legal entity, Tata Auto USA, this as a legal entity, but we also ensured this is a legal employer as well. This is payroll statutory unit as well, right? This is a legal entity by definition. But in the setup, we have checked two checkboxes. One for legal employer checkbox, another we checked payroll statutory unit checkbox. So that is why Tata Auto USA is a legal employer. I can legally hire somebody within this legal entity. So my challenge would be to see if this is coming up here. If this is not coming up here, then definitely there is some setup missing. We need to debug that further. Okay. So how do I fill in? I can go ahead, select this, click on search, search for my legal entity. So now I don't find any issue because whatever I configured is coming up here. Okay. Why this is coming up here? Any idea? So I've configured only legal entity, right, in the manage legal entity screen. So because of those two checkboxes, one of the checkboxes has a significance where you check that legal employer checkbox, right? So that is ensuring that your legal entity is available here on the higher screen. If you don't check that, then you may not find it here. You can test it yourself. Yeah. So I have made this as a legal employer and check that legal employer checkbox at the legal entity definition screen. That's why I see it. So I can select this. Okay. So now, as soon as you select this, what you're saying, worker number is generated automatically. Any one person number is generated automatically. In the manage enterprise HCM information, which you did at the enterprise level, right? Step number one, very, very basic step that we did. This one. So there you see there are many different sections. One of the section has worker number generation and person number generation. We said person number can be generated automatically even in manual mode, right? So those setups have been set up at the enterprise level. So that is why you see a person number generated automatically option is coming up because you set up that way in that particular screen. Okay. So other fields like what is this personal details fields you need to fill in. So let us say I'm filling in somebody, Jacob, or I fill in Anthony. So last name is required in USA. So remaining you can fill in or just leave it blank because those are not required. I'm not bothered about that. Gender, this is required for payroll processing. So you should select a proper gender, select a date of birth. Yeah. So others fields are not required, but yeah, let us skip that. You also have certain fields or sections like adding national identifiers. For USA, it will be SSN. For India, it will be Aadhaar or PAN, right? So you can add that as well. So for now, I'm just skipping that. Okay. So the next part, as we see, this is again a train stop. We need to fill in different sections. First section is identification information where we filled in the legal employer information. We filled in the personal details like name. Yeah. So then comes in personal information where we may require to fill in address. So what I'm going to do is I'll simply select zip code. It pops me up with state, city, and county. Then I'll fill in address, thing like that. Yeah. And you can even fill in your phone details. Yeah. Here you have work phone, home phone, all those types will be available. You can do it yourself. Email you can fill in, personal email. Yeah. So remaining fields are not required, but you can fill in. If you are doing a hire, please go to each of the fields and fill in the data for them. Okay. So the next time stop is employment information. So few things are let at the work relationship details level. Let us not go much details into about it because those are not required fields. Let us drop, let's scroll down a bit and then see at the assignment tab, you see all these details. So these are something that you need to spend some time on. So one such field that you see is business unit, right, which is a required field. So what is the business unit that we configured? Tata Auto USA BU, one of the business unit. So again, click on the drop down, search for your business unit. Yeah, you see this business unit because we configured that. Person type, we are hiring an employee. Let us have, you can have multiple other options. Assignment status is by default, it should be payroll active eligible. Yeah, we are making this person active and also making sure that he or she is payroll eligible. There are multiple other different options. You can select that if in case you're hiring somebody. And rest of the things are common workforce structure related fields, right? We discussed about jobs, not positions, but let us come to that later. So we have configured jobs, we configure grades, we configure department and location, right? Let us try filling in that. So what is the job that we created? Technical intern. So for job, let us search for it. Yeah, we have this. Select that. Next is grade. We have created grade -1. Just paste that and tab out. That's also fine. It will do an auto validation if it exists or not. So then department. Department, we have IT consulting. Yeah, that's also done. Location. So we have a New York. Paste it and tab out. Okay. There are no errors or there are no validations further. So all those are valid. That's why you don't see any error messages. And few other fields which are by default like worker category. Based on the US, in US there are different worker categories. They have blue collar workers, they have white collar workers, something like that. So if in case you want to select that as per the customer requirement, you can even do that. We can even configure this, which we can understand more like how do we configure the list of values appearing here in advanced course. Yeah, assignment category. So this we have seen somewhere in job creation. When we create a job, we see full-time, permanent, something like that. So full-time, temporary, part-time, permanent. So that you can even select. So regular, temporary, regular, full-time, part-time, full-time, hourly paid or salaried. Let us say salaried. And how many hours per week this employee is going to work? 40 hours. Yeah. Um, Start time and end time. See here. This is defaulted. I have not filled in, but it is being defaulted. From where it is being defaulted, there might be many different places. So one such place is enterprise information. So this we selected, right? The start time of the enterprise, end time of the enterprise. So that data is being fed in here. It's coming from there. Yeah. So if you have set at the department level, because in department level also we saw start time, end time, etc. Right? So if you have filled in that at the department level, then it will override. Yeah. It will take department as a precedence. It will give priority to the department level, not at the enterprise. So rest of the fields are again depend upon the requirement of the customer. These are all the delivered fields that we have. Even you can create a custom fields. For now, let us skip this. Move on here. Scroll down to a section called manager details. So here is where you need to attach a manager. Just type in a name. These managers are already existing in the system. Attach a manager to this employee. I've searched for one, selected one. So it is. Probation and notice period. There are, let us say there are 6 months of probation for this employee. This employee is a new hire. They need to complete 6 months of probation. So if they want to move out of this organization, they at least need to serve 3 months of notice period. Yeah. So rest of the fields are not required because that those are the payroll related fields here. We need to have the payroll configuration in place. But for now, what we have done is we have filled in employment information, filled in BU, job, grade, location, department, and rest of the other fields along with the manager details. So this is what we filled in, right? So click on next. And the next section is compensation information. We have not created salary data. We have not created a payroll data. That will be done in payroll foundation. Anybody who is part of the payroll foundation may know like how do we create compensation salaries like the CTC that you are getting, right? CTC amount, how do we configure that? So that will be completely the topic that we can learn in the payroll foundation course. For now, let us leave this as is. Click on next. Review the information, whatever we filled in. We filled in personal information, we filled in address, we filled in employment information, right? We filled in the manager. So review all those details and then hit on submit. And you see this person number, it is still generated automatically. Can somebody tell me like why still it is not generated? I'm at the last step, right? It should have given me an person number here. So I see if I see the person number, it is still generated automatically. My question is why? Why I'm not seeing the person number for this person?
I think once you submitted there, then it will generate.
Right. So where it is flowing from, where it is coming from, where this functionality is uh,
In
getting
my
configured.
enterprise structure, there is type called as submit generate after submission.
Yeah, right. So that's what I'm looking for. So if you look at the enterprise information, where you configure how a person number should be generated, that section, right? So this section, what we said is generate the person number automatic. Fine, completely fine. It is generating automatically. But when? It should be done on the final save. Okay. So either save or submit would create a person number for me. Okay. Let me directly go ahead and submit this. It is asking for a confirmation. Take some time to commit into the database with all the relevant information, and it also it is also creating a person number. So it again creates a person number based on what is last saved in the system. It increments to 1 and then it creates a new number. Okay. So now click on OK. So it takes back. So you have perfectly hired a person, which is that what you have done is you use all the setup that you have done. You used your LE that you created to hire a person. You used all your workforce structures to hire a person, and person is also submitted. Now, how do I see the person? If you have proper access in the system, proper role that is there for you in the system, then you can directly search with the name. If even after searching, if persons are not coming up and your data is not coming up, then you may have issue with the security. Okay. So for now, what I did is I was searching for I'm searching for an employee called Anthony, which I just hired. And if you look at the results, there are a lot of Anthonys, but I have this Anthony with me, which I have hired. Okay. Just validate the data. So person number generated is 1 lakh, I believe 10 lakh 38. And the legal employer is same as what we have created. Tata Auto USA. Employee we have hired, not a contingent worker. We have hired somebody in US. So we have hired somebody as of today's date, 4/9, and we have hired with an action called hire and reason called hire fill vacant position. And you have the information, all the other information like job selected, grade, right? Consulting, ID consulting as department, and location as New York, and other relevant information along with the manager that we selected.